What happens when the only person who holds the keys to hundreds of millions suddenly dies? In December 2018, a young Canadian CEO took a honeymoon trip to India and never came back. Gerry Cotten ran Canada's largest crypto exchange, QuadrigaCX, and when he died, over $250 million vanished with him. No one could access the money, no one could open the wallets, and no one, not even the government, could confirm he was really dead. Was it a tragic accident, an exit scam, or the perfect crime? This story goes far beyond crypto. It's a story about greed, secrecy, betrayal, and one of the most shocking financial disappearances of the internet age. Gerry always had a smile on his face, polite, friendly, harmless, the kind of guy you'd never expect to be at the center of the biggest crypto catastrophe in Canadian history. But long before Quadriga, before the headlines, the lawsuits, and the missing millions, Gerry was already living a double life. He was born in 1988 just outside of Toronto. Middle-class upbringing, Catholic school, nothing unusual except for one thing. From an early age, Gerry was obsessed with money, not just making it, multiplying it, and hacking the rules around it. In the early 2000s, while most teens were downloading music on LimeWire or chatting on MSN, Gerry was deep inside internet forums, reading about digital payment systems, high-yield investment programs, early online poker, any edge he could find. At 17, he was posting on a site called Talk Gold, a notorious hub for Ponzi schemes dressed up as investment opportunities. These weren't just scams, they were playgrounds for digital hustlers. And Gerry wasn't there to learn, he was there to build. Using anonymous screen names, he started running his own programs, took in deposits from strangers online, promised ridiculous returns, and disappeared just as quickly. It was there in those forums that Gerry met someone else, a teenager called Omar Danani, a fellow scammer with big ambitions and a checkered past. They'd later go into business together, but back then they were just two kids behind keyboards, bonding over a shared obsession, how to game the system, and disappear before getting caught. In 2013, Bitcoin was still the weird kid in the corner of the internet, used by idealists, tech geeks, and online gamblers. But 25-year-old Gerry saw an opportunity, a way to turn this strange internet currency into real millions. So he teamed up with his old friend Omar, who now went by the name Michael Patrin. Years earlier, Omar had been convicted in the US for identity theft, credit card fraud, and running a notorious site called Shadow Crew. He spent 18 months in federal prison and then quietly reinvented himself in Canada. By the time he met up with Gerry again, he'd become something else entirely, a crypto entrepreneur with a new name and a fresh story.
Gerald, starting with you. So I created QuadrigaCX in 2013, and we basically are now the largest exchange in Canada for buying and selling Bitcoin.
Together, they launched QuadrigaCX, Canada's first major cryptocurrency exchange. The name sounded high-tech and trustworthy. In reality, it was barely more than a slick-looking website with a Stripe account. There were no proper offices, no real staff, just Gerry, Michael, and an internet connection. At first, the gamble worked. Crypto was booming, and people wanted in. Quadriga made it easy on the surface. Send money, buy Bitcoin, watch your balance rise. By 2017, Quadriga was processing hundreds of millions of dollars in trades. It became Canada's largest crypto exchange. Gerry was the face of it all, cheerful, soft-spoken, always smiling. But behind the scenes, Michael was pulling strings too. He helped build the back end, manage the finances, and may have had early access to customer funds. But in 2016, Michael quietly left the company. No public statement, no explanation, he just disappeared from the story, at least on paper. Then the cracks started to show. Users began complaining about slow withdrawals. Wire transfers were delayed. Support emails went unanswered. Gerry always had a reason. He blamed the banks, blamed the processors, blamed the complexities of crypto. But what Quadriga was doing wasn't investing. It was recycling money. Here's how that works, and why it's the textbook definition of a Ponzi scheme. Imagine you open an investment club and say, give me $1,000 and I'll invest it. You'll get $1,200 back next month. Easy money. So Alice gives you $1,000. Then Bob gives you $1,000. You use Bob's money to pay back Alice. Now Alice tells her friends about the club. More people join, and you keep using new deposits to pay old withdrawals. It looks like you're making money, but you're not investing anything. You're just recycling cash. That's a Ponzi scheme. When people sent money to Quadriga to buy crypto, they thought they were trading on a real exchange. But in reality, there was no real trading happening. Gerry was faking transactions. He created fake accounts on the platform, accounts with fake balances that appeared to hold millions in Bitcoin. When users wanted to withdraw their money, Gerry would use new customer deposits to pay them out. He didn't separate customer funds from company funds. He didn't store crypto in cold wallets. He didn't even keep books. It was just one guy, using new money to fix old problems. Classic Ponzi, but it gets worse. Instead of holding on to the customer's money, Gerry was spending it. He bought luxury real estate, private planes, and a yacht. He transferred millions to his personal accounts, and even had a luxurious wedding. He was siphoning funds from the very people who trusted him with their savings. By the end of 2018, it was all on the edge. New deposits were slowing down. Old users were demanding their withdrawals, and Gerry was running out of money, out of time, and out of options. So he left. He got on a plane to India. And just like that, the man behind the Ponzi scheme vanished, taking the truth, the money, and 115,000 customers' hopes with him. In December 2018, Gerry boarded a plane to India with his wife, Jennifer Robertson. It was supposed to be a honeymoon, a spiritual trip, a break from the rising tension back home at Quadriga. But just 9 days later, he was dead. The official cause? Complications from Crohn's disease, a chronic condition he'd lived with for years. He reportedly collapsed at a hospital in Jaipur where he got admitted to intensive care. And on December 9th, just 24 hours later, he was gone, at only 30 years old. The hospital records were messy, full of contradictions and inconsistencies. There were conflicting spellings of his name, and strangely, no autopsy was performed, but what came next only deepened the mystery. Gerry's body was repatriated to Canada. A quiet funeral was held in Halifax. No open casket, no public viewing, no chance for the media to verify anything. And just 12 days before boarding the plane, Gerry had signed a new will. It handed everything, real estate, luxury cars, his yacht, even his frequent flyer points, to his wife, Jennifer. Over $9 million in assets. But there was one thing the will didn't mention: the crypto, the cold wallets, the password that could unlock $250 million in customer funds. In January 2019, a month after Gerry's death, Jennifer released a statement to announce his passing. That's when everything unraveled. For months, Quadriga users had been trying to withdraw their money. Support tickets were ignored. Wire transfers sat in limbo. And now, the CEO was dead. The only person who had access to their crypto was gone. Forums lit up. News outlets dug deeper, and angry investors started asking questions. Where was their money? Why wasn't there an autopsy? Why was Gerry's will signed just days before the trip? The firm Ernst & Young was brought in to investigate. What they found was chilling. Most of Quadriga's crypto wallets were completely empty. Some hadn't been used in months. Some had never held any crypto at all. Gerry had been faking trades, creating fake accounts, and using new user deposits to pay old withdrawals, just like a Ponzi scheme. He'd lost tens of millions on bad bets and spent millions more funding his luxurious lifestyle. And the laptop that could unlock any remaining money? Encrypted, silent, locked. Quadriga was now just a ghost. No CEO, no crypto, and no answers. Just 115,000 customers, staring at an empty screen. Months after Gerry's death, the truth could no longer be ignored. Quadriga was hollow, an empty shell. The money was gone, and its 115,000 customers were left empty-handed. Some lost a few hundred, others lost their life savings.
Yeah, I pretty much ended up losing my life savings because of it. I lost about 400,000 US dollars in QuadrigaCX, right? So I posted this video.
People remortgaged homes, drained savings, bet everything on a lie. The aftermath was chaotic. Ernst & Young traced what they could. They discovered Gerry had used customer funds to trade on other exchanges, often losing tens of millions in bad bets. He funneled customer funds into his own accounts, bought luxury items, and moved millions through a tangled web of transfers. And all the while, he kept no records, no backups, no contingency plan. Investigators recovered some assets, a few million here and there, but most of it vanished. The Canadian government held hearings. Gerry's wife handed over everything, properties, horses, and jewelry, but denied knowing anything about Gerry's fraud. No one was ever charged. Then came the theories, because some things still didn't add up. Why did Gerry sign a will just 12 days before flying to India? Why was there no autopsy on his dead body? Why was his death announced a month later? And why was the death certificate riddled with spelling errors? Not everyone believes Gerry is dead. Some think he faked his death, that he's alive and watching the story unfold from a beach somewhere. Goa, Belize, maybe the Cayman Islands. It sounds far-fetched, but then again, he did get his pilot's license. He did learn to sail a yacht without a crew, and he was moving millions through personal accounts. To his victims, those details didn't look like hobbies. They looked like escape plans. And in 2022, a Canadian regulatory body issued a damning conclusion. Quadriga was a fraud, a Ponzi scheme, one man stealing from thousands. Still, many wanted proof of Gerry's death. Victims called for Gerry's body to be exhumed. They wanted DNA, a real autopsy, closure. But as of now, his coffin remains buried, the laptop remains locked, and $250 million remain missing. Maybe he died in India. Maybe he vanished by design. Maybe we'll never know. But in the world of crypto, one thing's for sure. If you don't hold the keys, you don't have the coins.